What's good, Steeler Nation? My name is Jack Sperry. You are watching Steelers Talk. On today's show, I'm going to be breaking down the Allen Robinson trade and the latest around that, what I think about the trade, if I think it's a good move. Then we got a Peter Schrager mock draft to break down here. He had a one-round mock draft. He has a very interesting pick for the Steelers I'm going to break down here in just a second. And then today is the final day for top 30 visits in the NFL. I'm going to be breaking down all 32 players that the Steelers brought in for visits here before the draft. But before we get into today's action, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel if you haven't already. If we get up to 25,000 subs before the NFL draft, we are going to do a raffle live here on Steelers Talk. Now, we're about 836 away for about a week. We got about a week to get 836 more subscribers. So if you want to do me a favor, you want a chance to win something, some great piece of Steelers memorabilia, go ahead and click that subscribe button for me right now. Now let's get into the Allen Robinson trade, where the details were revealed after I recorded my breaking news video yesterday. Essentially, the Steelers and Rams are just swapping seventh-round picks. The Rams are going to get 234, and the Steelers are going to get 251 in exchange for Allen Robinson. And the Rams, along with paying a good amount of money that was already guaranteed to Allen Robinson, they are going to end up paying another $5 million. So the Steelers are just on the hook for $5 million next year when it comes to Allen Robinson, man. Like, I think this is another Khan gem. I think it's a great move by the Steelers GM. We've seen this from Khan before, and you're bringing in a guy for $5 million next year. That's somebody that just 2 years ago was a borderline wide receiver one to come in and play your big slot position next year, be a good weapon for Kenny Pickett. And I think would I rather do this over drafting a wide receiver? I'm not too sure, but I think this is a good move that I think will benefit Kenny Pickett in the long run. At the end of the day, this is a great deal. It's all upside. There's no downside, essentially. He has a very cuttable contract in 2024. So best case scenario, you get Allen Robinson, a really great big slot receiver for you for the next 2 years. Or worst case scenario, he's just not very good. You plug in Calvin Austin III as your slot receiver, and then you cut Allen Robinson at season's end. It really is that simple. You take a look at what Allen Robinson has done in his career over the last 4 years. He's dealt with some injuries, had a foot injury last year that took him out for the rest of the 2022 campaign. Only had 33 receptions, 339 yards, averaged about a first down per catch, and had 3 touchdowns. Didn't have great chemistry with Matthew Stafford, and then once Stafford kind of got hurt at the end of the year, they had a kind of revolving door of guys that just weren't really getting it done with Robinson. 2021, not a great year either. He's kind of had a decline in production the last 2 years, but before that, you take a look at the numbers, man. Over 100 receptions in 2020, close to it in 2019. He's a good hands guy. He's got good body control, and he's a good run blocker from the slot. And I think that's why the Steelers made this move, guys. He is a fantastic run blocker from the inside there in the slot. He was the 9th highest graded wide receiver in run blocking last year, according to Pro Football Focus. And that's exactly what the Steelers needed on this wide receiver group. They needed that guy, that bruiser, to kind of come in on those early downs and help them out in run protection, because Calvin Austin III is 5'9", 165 pounds. He's not moving anybody. The over 200-pound Robinson will do that for you. So let me know in the comment section what you guys think about this trade. Grade the trade for Allen Robinson in the comments section. A, B, C, D, or F. Give me a grade. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So whenever you get an ad break here on the show, just go ahead, go down to the comment section, find that pinned comment. It'll be right there at the top, and answer today's question. My grade for this, guys, I'm going to give it an A. Now, yesterday during the breaking news segment, I gave it a tentative C because I wanted to see what the compensation was, how much the Steelers were going to pay. And I think after all, for what it's worth, I think it's an A. I think that he's a good slot receiver. I think that you bring him in on kind of a lower end contract, somebody that's been around the game for a long time. He's going to be a good mentor for George Pickens as well. It's something I haven't heard discussed all that often, but man, he's a veteran. He's been around the block. He's going to be a good run blocker for you in the slot on early downs. I cannot wait to see him in black and gold. I think this is a fantastic move by Omar Khan because there's pretty much no downside and all upside, which seems to be his sort of trade these days. All right, now let's get into this Peter Schrager mock draft that he released just a couple of days ago, and he has the Steelers taking a very interesting prospect here with the 17th overall pick. He has the Steelers taking Ohio State offensive tackle Paris Johnson Jr. Now, you guys know me, man. Paris Johnson Jr. is my guy. He's the number 1 ranked offensive tackle on my big board this year. I think that he's a fantastic prospect at 6'6", 310 pounds. I think that he is somebody that moves really well. I think he can move people off the line of scrimmage at the left tackle position, which is what the Steelers are looking for, by the way, because they're shifting to more of a power run game. I think he's a fantastic prospect, but this is what Peter Schrager had to say about the Buckeye tackle. The Steelers like plucking prospects from Ohio State. Johnson is a versatile pass protector who can play right away and shouldn't escape the top 20. I have Pittsburgh passing on Joey Porter's son, which doesn't feel right. Oh, well. Now, I think that, Pete, it's all right. It's all right passing on Joey Porter Jr. because you're getting a guy in Paris Johnson Jr. who is an awesome left tackle prospect. He's going to be able to replace Dan Moore Jr. really, really nicely. I'm going to be letting you know what I think about this pick in just a second. But first, check out these awesome NFL draft hats for your Pittsburgh Steelers. These are the official draft hats for this year, the 2023 NFL Draft. I think that this design is awesome, man. You got that nice stone color. You got the gold lettering. You got the logo in the middle. You got to go chatsports.com/Steelers draft hat to get yours today. These things are running out of stock, and of course, the NFL Draft is next week. So if you want to be wearing yours during the draft, now's the time to do it, guys. Go chatsports.com/Steelers draft hat. Personally, I really like this black and gold color. I'm probably going to get this one for myself. They got a bunch of different bill styles. If you like curved bills, flat bill, all those kinds of designs, we got them for you on the Chat Sports website. Go to chatsports.com/Steelers draft hat to get your Steelers draft hat today. All right, now let's get into what I think about this pick. In my opinion, you guys know this, Paris Johnson Jr. is the best case scenario for the Steelers at number 17. You don't even have to move down, and you're getting the number 1 offensive tackle on my big board. Hell yes, man. Now, will this happen? I highly doubt it. I think Paris Johnson Jr. is a great fit for the Chicago Bears. So if the Bears don't end up trading down, I think Paris Johnson Jr. could be on his way to the Windy City. And even if he slips past number 9, he's still the best guy on my board, and there's still some teams down there in the early top 20 there that really need an offensive tackle prospect. You take a look at my top 5 guys. It goes from right to left here, 1 to 5. Paris Johnson Jr. is number 1 on my big board right now. Peter Schrager would also be a really good fit. Broderick Jones has some of the best lower body strength in this year's draft class. Really great power blocker. If the Steelers end up taking an offensive tackle at 17, I think it would be Jones. Then you got Anton Harrison and DeJuan Jones, also some pretty good players as well. But I think that for their respective reasons, I think the Steelers are looking at those top 3 guys at my list. And then, I think that if they want to get one of those top 3 guys, they might need to trade up, especially Skoronski or Paris Johnson Jr. If they want one of those guys, they're going to need to go get them because I think they're going to be going in the top 10, plain and simply. I'm not sure if I'm willing to do that because I'm not sure what it would cost to move up. Now, if you can get it for a decent price, then I guess. But this is probably the most likely scenario that we've been hearing about on the Steeler Twitter mill lately here. Number 9 for 17 and 49 is the most likely scenario for a Steelers trade up. If they move up, there's some rumors that they could take Jalen Carter. But if it were me, if I were making this move and I was moving up into the top 10, I would go get Paris Johnson Jr., somebody that's a fantastic prospect. He's a plug-and-play starter for you. You can replace Dan Moore Jr. He'll be a better power blocker than him day 1. I think that would be the move if I were Omar Khan. Now, let me know in the comments section what you guys think about this trade here. Would you trade up for an offensive tackle, or would you stick with Dan Moore Jr.? Which one would you rather do? Would you rather trade up or stick with Dan Moore Jr.? Type TU if you'd rather trade up, or if you'd rather stick with Dan Moore Jr., type DM in the comments section. So before I go here, let's recap all the players that have come to Pittsburgh for a pre-draft visit with the Steelers. Today is the last day that the NFL teams can meet with these guys, and the Steelers brought in a couple people that are very, very interesting in my opinion. Take a look at some of these guys. A couple of later round quarterbacks there with Clayton Tune and Jaron Hall, and then a couple of receivers as well. I think with the Allen Robinson trade, that's less likely now. They brought in 5 receivers. I guess we'll see how that goes. They brought in 1 tight end in Darnell Washington, which is very interesting in round 2. Then at offensive tackle, Darnell Wright, Broderick Jones, and Anton Harrison were the 3 tackles that they brought in. I think that's very telling, especially the Anton Harrison one there. You got Osiris Torrance, Steve Avila, Chandler Zavala, John Michael Schmitz, and Cody Mock, all interior offensive linemen that visited. So that tells me that the Steelers are probably looking heavily into interior offensive line here, probably on day 2. And then you got Siaki Ika, Keanu Benton, Kyle Brooks, and Brian Brzee as your defensive tackles that were brought in. I really like Benton. Brzee, the tape isn't all there for me on him. Siaki Ika is more of a pure run stuffer. Kyle Brooks is a pretty decent player as well. Then you get into some of these edge rushers here. Keon White, Tuli Tuipulotu, Robert Beal, and Felix Anudike Uzama. Some very interesting names there. Probably looking for somebody to fall to become that next rotational pass rusher. Probably in round 3 or round 4, I would say. And then the cornerbacks are very interesting as well. Tyreek Stevenson, really, really good press man corner. Julius Brents really was a combine gem in my opinion. He might even go first round now. Then you got Joey Porter Jr., fan favorite cornerback out of Penn State, could very well end up going to the Steelers. You got Deonte Banks, one of my favorite prospects in this year's draft class. Darius Rush, Christian Gonzalez, and then the safeties, Daniel Scott and Tanner Ingle, might be pointing to the Steelers taking a safety in round 7. So let me know, who is your guy in this year's NFL draft class? Who do you want the Steelers to draft in round 1? Is it a quarterback? Is it an offensive tackle? Let me know right now in the comments section.